Hi, welcome. Thank you so much for joining me for this movement session. So, you've got a yoga mat, or at least enough room for a yoga mat, blocks for help, you'll see me using them, and blankets for support. I'm sitting up on one to help keep myself lifted, to feel my sitting bones connect to something. And your legs are however feel comfortable, whether they're up against you or out in front of you. And you're letting yourself start to come inward to your breath. And you're letting yourself unhook from the external world and come into your internal self. And you can also do that shoulder shrug. That's where you inhale and bring the shoulders up by your ears and scrunch your face up and maybe hold for just a beat, and then exhale, let it go. Audibly let that exhale go. Your body relaxes, and then inhale. Do it again, scrunch up, let yourself hold that scrunch, that tight, and then let it go. And do that as many times as feels good. I call that shrugging off, right? You're shrugging off the outside world, and you are coming into your time right here, right now, on your mat. I mean, just that simple act of shrugging those shoulders up by your ears and scrunching your face up, you can feel how the blood starts to churn a little bit more, and you're already starting to change. So let your eyes close if it's comfortable. If not, just have a slight gaze a few feet in front of you. You're not really focusing on anything. The awareness is on the breath coming in and out of your body. You are setting aside as much as you can the external world, all that's going on out there that has nothing to do with you, and all that's going on out there that has all the things to do with you. And you are just with your breath and your body right here, right now, practicing kindness, compassion, and love for yourself. And once you find all of the kindness, all of the compassion, all of the love for yourself, and then I want you to turn it outward and let that energy fuel, right, all into those positive and optimistic waves that help to keep the world, right, on hope. You're doing that. The breath is as full and deep as feels good. Start that 3-part yoga breath when you're ready. That's when you fill up the lower third of your lungs, then the middle third, then the upper third. And then when you exhale, you release upper, middle, lower. And you let that 3-part yoga breath build, deepen. Maybe sometimes it's deeper than others. You are already not only practicing that kindness, compassion, and love with yourself, you are setting aside the judge and the jury. And you're just being the observer, the witness. That observer, that witness position is so much more, I think, powerful than the judge position, because you're able to really take your time and determine if something is really that you need to take in, or maybe it's something you need to let go of. It helps you figure out, right, what works for you. So the breath has gotten as full and deep as feels good. Start to let your whole body get involved. As you fill up the lower third of your lungs, press your navel in the space in front of you. The middle third, feel your ribs move up and apart. And the breath goes into the upper third, feel your heart move up in your chest. And then then you exhale, heart and chest relax, ribs move down and together, and then you pull that navel back and up into your body. And then the inhale happens again, and you fill up navel, ribs, chest. Exhale fully, chest, ribs, navel. And let that full deep breath help to keep you lifted. And then you start to engage your girdle, starting with that lower girdle, making sure that your feet are not tingly, arranging your legs, and then start to tilt that pelvis, pull that back body down, lift that front body, press your knees away, flex your feet so you build that strong base. And then from that strong base, lift yourself up out of that place and stretch yourself into all that space around you that you are meant to take up. So here's where the heart lifts into the space in front of you. The blades are activated and gently pulled down. They're not squeezed together. That back body is pulling down to support that front body. You're looking for that place where you reside, right in the middle. And still your breath is full and deep. Navel, ribs, chest. Exhaling fully, chest, ribs, navel. Keeping your awareness on right here, right now, the present moment. When you do notice yourself not in the present moment, that's exactly when you're doing it right. So you do not judge yourself harshly or get upset with yourself. You gently and lovingly bring yourself back to the present moment. Staying with that awareness of that deep, full breath and how you are holding your body. Lifting the front, pulling down the back. Use that as that touch point, right? That place, that home base. And if you need that place to be a physical place in your body, somewhere right around your navel, maybe right behind your navel, in the middle of your body. But that navel is where you started. So it makes sense to me that that is your home base. And remember that you are practicing kindness, compassion, and love for yourself. And if you have filled yourself up with your own kindness, compassion, and love for yourself, then send it out to the world. We need all of those healing vibes to be sent out, those healing, loving vibes. And you, right, you can churn those up from within. So that is my intent during this practice, to keep your awareness on the present moment. If you'd like to take time bringing your hands to your heart and setting any personal intention, something you might be working on to add more of or let go of, or maybe a little bit of both. And then after you settle on something, take 3 big, full, deep breaths, filling up navel, ribs, chest. Exhaling fully, chest, ribs, navel. Second time. Third time. Sealing those intentions into our hearts. Let's begin. You can let your arms come down. If you're sitting up tall on something, let yourself come down. We're going to start a little on our back. And so, I want you to take your time unwinding from that seated position, knowing that you can do whatever movement feels good in order to start to wake up. And then find yourself on your back. Make sure you've got room that you can stretch your arms over your head. So before you get too comfy, make sure that that you can move with those arms like in a snow angel move. So pretend like you're making a snow angel. And I kind of brush this curtain back here, but that's okay. I'm keeping my girdle engaged. I'm doing this while I'm keeping my girdle engaged. And then practicing that snow angel so I know I've got room. And then when you're done figuring out your space, you're going to bring your awareness to that lower pelvis. And here's where you're going to do that teeny tiny pelvic tilt where you pull the tail down and lift those hip flexors. You're doing that while you're laying down to get that pelvis in that place of support. And then Start with your knees up to the sky and your feet are as wide apart as feels good. Arms reach up, keep that shoulder girdle engaged. You're going to then bring those hands to the elbows. And here's where you have to play around with what feels good to you. I want you to try to press your shoulder blades and your glutes into the mat. You're going to drop your knees to the right and then your elbows to the left. Your nose is pointing wherever you come through center, and then you drop them to the other side. So you're not pulling. I'm not pulling on my elbows. They're just gently laying against my arms, but I'm definitely activating my girdle to spread myself out. But I'm not gripping with my toes, right? That's something you're definitely not doing. And then I want you to pause. I'm pausing with my knees going to the right and my elbows going to the left, and my gaze is looking in the same direction as my elbows, but to the left. But you can also bring that left hand on top of that right elbow, if that's right there in front of your, and then let yourself look over that right shoulder. It's a big stretch, and I'm not facing you, so I'm trying to talk loud. I'm not pressing too hard. I'm looking in the same direction as my knees. I want you to take care of you and only do what feels good. I'm still trying to press my shoulder blades and both my glutes into the mat. I'm going to let my arms come back into that place of just dancing next to so I'm going to let go of the press, bring myself back through center, and then the same thing is happening other side. So now my elbows are going to the right. I've got that girdle engaged, so I'm pulling down a little bit. That right hand is going to gently press on the top of that left elbow. I'm never hurtful with my joints. And then I'm trying to press my shoulder blades down, trying to press my glutes down. I've got my feet flexed, and I'm looking then over that left shoulder. This can be a big stretch. Your gaze might feel better going up to the sky. Inhale, and then depending on what's happened in your body, right, you are going to feel this differently on each side. And I want you to manage that within and make sure you take care of yourself then. Remember to treat yourself with kindness, compassion, and love. Back up into that center place. If you want to do a few side to side again, because you like how that feels, I want you to do that. And then you're going to reset with some circles, some windshield wipers, or rocking back and forth, or some combination of all that. Your arms can be reaching towards your legs. I'm never putting any pressure with my limbs are never really doing any of the work. They're just there to get a little bit closer. Everything's happening in the trunk. That's where the magic is happening, and I want you to try to feel that as well. Keep that pelvis engaged. Keep lifting your shoulder, your chest up, your heart up, and pulling those shoulder blades down. And then find those feet. Definitely engage those balls and those heels right up next to your glutes. Your legs are really active. And if you don't know how to get that pelvis in place, I'll go through it real quick just to make sure, because it's so important. This is where you're engaging those inner abdominal muscles, right? It's not about the six-pack ab. It's about the engagement of the inner abdominal muscles where the strength comes in. So you make the diamond with your finger and your thumbs coming together. And then the thumbs rest on the navel, the forefingers rest on the pubic bone. If you find your pubic bone lower than your navel, that's where you need to crank. I got to really crank my pelvis into place in order to find that place of evenness. And then once you find that place of evenness, your hands come down to your side. Keep that engagement in your trunk as you lift yourself a few times in that bridge position. So you're doing the up and down bridge. And the next time you start to lift up, if you want to add that snow angel move with the upper arms, I've got the shoulder girdle engaged as I do this, so I get this wonderful additional stretch. And so bringing your arms in the snow angel is one thing, is one variation. If you would like to try, this is where I'm trying to press my shoulder blades down, and then I'm reaching my arms up into that zombie or sleepwalker position. I'm using my balls, using my heels, not engaging those toes, doing no work. And if you don't like any of these variations, either of these variations, you can make up one.
Sorry, could you say that again?
Oh, sorry, my watch.
I'm having trouble hearing you.
It's okay. You can do some, make up your own stuff. Eventually, you're going to be done. I want you to reset, rock, circle, whatever feels good. Breathing full and deep. Navel, ribs, chest. Exhaling fully, chest, ribs, navel. All right, then back into that beginning bridge position. This is where I want you to practice a little. So you're engaging your whole trunk, and now I want you to practice the external rotation of each leg. So to do that, you're going to bring that right foot up off the floor. You can keep the knee really, really bent. I want you to try to keep the glute down as you lift that leg. So use that left foot and that both glutes in order to find that stability. And then that whole leg, you're taking the knee and the toes, and you are externally rotating them out and then internally rotating them in. So you're just letting that leg do a few internal and external rotations. And you're trying just to move the leg at the socket. You're trying to keep the whole trunk nice and still as much as you can. All right, the next time you find the leg externally rotated, it could be a big stretch, but it's not a big move. I want you to keep the leg externally rotated, so keep that sensation as you bend the knee and bring that right ankle to the left knee. Keep pressing that right knee away, and then you bring that left leg in, that left foot in as close as feels good. Don't use the toes. Remember to engage those inner abdominal muscles, and you still might not get very high, but if you've got those inner abdominal muscles and then lift into that one-legged weird bridge that we're doing, then you're engaging so much. All right, keep those inner abdominals engaged, your inner thighs, and then also your inner thighs, and then let yourself come down. Remember, we did the right leg. You're probably like, how can I forget? I want you to rock, circle, windshield wiper, whatever feels good, and then back to start with in that bridge position. Make sure your pelvis is in that place so your pubic bone and your navel are in the same plane. And like I said, I really got to crank that pelvis into that place, and that really spreads out that low back, and you start to feel how that low back, hopefully you feel, it feels marvelous to me. Even though I have no low back pain, this position feels marvelous. Keeping that engagement, lifting that leg, keeping that knee really bent. So I'm just externally and then internally rotating right at the hip a few times. Breathing full and deep. This internal and external rotation, this practice is so, it's magical. Like, this will help you walk. It'll keep you connected. Stay with your breath. Let the leg stay externally rotated. As you drop that ankle on that knee, you're trying to keep that left leg pressed as far away from you. So you're really engaging that whole framework of your lower trunk and into your legs as you lift yourself into your bridge. You're breathing here for a few breaths. Remember, your toes are not doing any work. Try not to strain your neck, and then lower down, and then let yourself reset with the rock, the circle, whatever feels good. And then let yourself roll to one side, press yourself up, and then come around onto those hands and knees. Finding that place, I'm going to grab a quick drink to make sure that I stay hydrated. Make sure that you do too. I'm going to bring a blanket down for my knees so that I have support and that comfortable. You found that comfortable child, so you set yourself up. Your legs are as wide apart as feels good. You're still staying with that engagement in your trunk, pressing your whole self back, reaching your whole self forward, inhaling and exhaling, staying with your breath. I've got a little foot cramp, so I'll manage that with just some gentle circles of my ankle. I know I need more bananas. Inhale and exhale. Stay with your breath. And then take your time up to your table. Make sure that your knees are comfortable. You're coming into that stable table, knees underneath those hips, hands right underneath those shoulders. Spread those fingers wide and find that gentle grip with your balls of your hands. Your elbows are not hyperextended, and you can start to do that teeny tiny pelvic tilt. This is where you're cranking those pelvises into that place to get that pubic bone and navel in that same position when we were laying down. It's always the same. I'm never going to change my story. And then pull those blades apart, pull them together, pull those blades apart, pull them together. I want you to be in that place of pulling them apart. And then your cat and cow is in the middle, inhaling and exhaling. Really try to find that engagement of the girdles so that you are in the hyper flexible low back and the hyper flexible upper back. The neck area, like that, is then protected. Your shoulders are protecting your neck, right? Your hips are protecting a bunch of internal organs, and then, right, helping with that hinge to keep you upright, and then so you can also reach things. All right, you're going to bring yourself into a stable table and press yourself back into that child. I'm going to pause here. I've gotten warm, so I'm going to strip off a layer. I want you to make sure that you're managing that as well. Always keeping yourself comfortable and protected. All right, back up into that table. Make sure you're in that stable table position. You have got that pelvis pulled down, that back body pulled down, the front body pulled up. You're not hyperextending the elbows. You're going to send that right leg back, find that length, and then let that leg just float to the outside of so the right leg is floating to the outside of the left leg. Keep pressing evenly into both of your arms. Keep that shoulder girdle engaged as you gently take your left ear, left shoulder, and then you're pulling that to your left hip, and then your left hip is pulling towards your shoulder and your ear, and hopefully you feel that nice stretch down your right hip, maybe down the back of your leg. Inhale and exhale, so remember we did the right leg, bring it back, set it down, let yourself come off your child, or down to your child, especially if you feel a lot of sensation in your wrists. Make sure that you're always managing that with gentle circles. You're never harsh on any of the delicate joints. You're always protective. And then bring yourself up into that stable table. Same thing, other side. So I want you to keep the girdles engaged and then press that left leg back and keep the girdle engaged. And so then your leg is just going to float a little bit to the right. It's not going to go very far. Try to find, your toes are going to get the stretch here. You're probably not going to be able to get the ball down. I can't quite get the ball down, but I'm trying to bring my ball down. And then keeping the shoulder girdle engaged. I'm not dipping down onto either side. I'm going to gently pull the right shoulder, the right ear towards the right hip, and then gently pull that right hip just a little bit towards the shoulder so I get that nice stretch down that side. And then hopefully you feel that, and then bring yourself back into that child, completely resetting. Breathing full and deep. Next stop is downward dog. If you don't want to do downward dog, come into stable table and just practice holding in stable table, because coming from stable table, then curling those toes, lifting up to downward dog, keep those knees bent. That's one way to transition into a downward dog. But it's the same thing here. You're finding your balls of your hands and your feet. You can stretch onto your toes, but I want you to settle in on your balls. In fact, I want you to try to always find that place where you can lift your toes up off the ground. My toes are lifted a little bit from the ground. That's how I'm trying to get you into the balls of those feet. You're not hyperextending those elbows. Remember to come down into a table or a child if it is too much for you. Inhale and exhale. Like right now I have like all this sinus stuff going on. So like you never know what's going on. This is where you can't be harsh with yourself. You have to always protect yourself and take care of you. So coming into the top of your space, whether it be that walking forward or the downward dog, I mean coming down made the world of difference for me right there. And then I'm going to step up here into that forward fold. I've got blocks here in order to have that supported place. You can use a chair or a wall just to make sure you're not bumping your noggin. Play around with that balance, coming back on your heels like you're almost going to fall back, or coming forward on the balls and you're going to come into a somersault. Keep lifting that navel up, finding that long trunk so you're finding that hinge. This is not a rounding of the belly. So you're not rounding at the belly, bringing your shoulders forward. I want you to be hinging, so you're putting all that weight in that back body. And so keeping those knees bent, using some support, that is the best way for you to feel comfortable in this pose, because even if you're at a tip-top 100% shape, sometimes you can feel like you want to vomit because you're in this forward fold position, but it's also a comforting position. It's also the position that you need to be going in this position a lot for the rest of your life. It's just what happens. All right, into that forward fold, the weight's in the back body. You're going to really put the weight in the back body as you inhale halfway, flat back, really find that length. Keep those knees bent. Hands can be right above the knees, or you're reaching back or you're reaching over. Exhale, reach for the floor. Inhale halfway, flat back. Hold the pose. Don't hold the breath. Take another inhale. Exhale, reach for the floor or the support. And then you're going to decide, do you feel like you want to do that great big reverse swan dive coming up into that position, or do you want to come up in steps, which, there's no shame in any of that. You're going to bring yourself into that awkward chair. You're going to lift yourself into the standing position and then only reach up above your head if it feels good. Keep that back body pulling down. Keep lifting that front body as you come into as much of a back bend as feels good, and then find yourself in your mountain posture. This is where those feet are right underneath those hips. You're engaging the tripod or the four corners. This is underneath the big toe and the little toe at the ball of your foot, and then your heel. You're lifting your digits as much as you can, not just a little bit. I want you to try to get all the way to the ball and lift your digits as high and as wide and as far as you can, and then it's not going to be very far because toes aren't long, and then bring them down, space them out, play around with that for the rest of your life, and you'll thank me. Send me an email when you're 80 that you'll be thankful that I had you do that footwork. You are then having a gentle grip on your mat with those, so just that gentle grip. Kneecaps are pulling up into your thighs. Keep those knees nice and soft. Do that pelvic engagement. So you're pulling that back body down, lifting that front body. Think navel dimples in the back of the body. You're engaging right there to find that first pelvic engagement. It is muscle and framework. It is the inner abdominal muscles. It's your inner thighs. This is all the magic that nobody likes to think about. It's all happening right here in your lower belly. And then, so that's solid. It's engaged, and it's keeping you supported, and you feel strong, but yet flexible. You are able to move as you need to. And so navel dimples up, light as a feather. Heart comes up, blades come down. Press the crown of your head up to the sky and your tail down. And I want you to, I love mountain. I could spend an hour taking you into mountain. I want you to engage in mountain for the rest of your life. Find those power poses when you can in mountain. It's the father, right? It is the solid support. Inhaling and exhaling. Breathing full and deep. Make sure you're in the middle of your space. That's so you can just bring that right leg forward and that you're on railroad tracks. Keep that pelvis engaged. You're still in that lower mountain pose. I like to think of this like if you see Egyptian hieroglyphs, right? It kind of looks like that. I'm not on a tightrope. I'm on a balance beam. I'm putting the weight in that back body and I'm lifting the front body. And then hands are going to be at the hips. Make sure that you are got the heels down and all of your digits are pointing towards the short edge. We're going to come into that little tiny, your right leg is in front. You're going to come into that little tiny pyramid posture. That's what this is called, pyramid. Inhale and exhale. Stay with your breath. And then you can let yourself, you're not rounding. I want you to keep lifting, and then I want you to hinge. And if you want to reach then for the floor or your leg, keep that back heel down, keep your balls engaged, or you're reaching for blocks to find that stretch. Try to keep your hips pressing through evenly through your back pockets. Inhale and exhale. Stay with your breath. You're not internally or externally rotating your legs. They are in a neutral position. These kneecaps are pulled up into your thighs. And then here's where you're going to use support if you want to. You're going to and you can come up too if it's easier, but I'm going to bring that right leg a little bit forward and then that left leg a little bit back, staying on those railroad tracks. Now I'm bending that front right knee, putting the weight in the trunk. Don't grip with those front toes, lifting. So the right leg is still in front, left leg still in back. You're still holding yourself in that trunk, and you are still keeping your legs in that neutral position. They're not externally, outwardly rotated, and they're not internally, inwardly rotated. They are in that neutral position. And your hands are wherever. Breathing full and deep. Stay with your breath. Now, in this position, I want to do a little twist. So those arms can come to your heart, and then the right arm is going to come down because that right leg is in front. Keep that shoulder girdle engaged. I'm going to gently twist to the right. I can sneak that left arm out. The girdle is engaged. It's not a big twist. And then you're going to unwind, bringing yourself into back into your warrior, your crescent lunge. And then we're just going to practice balance just really quick. You're going to stand on that right leg. Keep holding yourself in your trunk. You can take as many steps as you want, lifting up that left leg, breathing full and deep. Hold yourself. You can use the wall. Do not hyperextend that leg that is holding you. Keep bringing your back body down, your front body up. Leg is not internally or externally rotated. It's in that neutral position. Don't grip with those right toes. Kick it out if you like, and then bring it down next to its mate, and notice how you feel. Breathing full and deep. Navel, ribs, chest. Exhaling fully, chest, ribs, navel. Same thing, other side. You're going to come into that mountain pose in the middle of your space, so make sure you've got room to move forward. You barely take a step forward. I want it to be like the smallest step because I want you to feel control. Your legs are never out of control. I want you to feel that control in your trunk as you hold yourself, pulling that back body down, so you're definitely got that right glute engaged. You've got those kneecaps nice and engaged and pulled up. You're keeping those hips, the front pockets and the back pockets even as you hinge over into your pyramid posture with the halfway up position in order to get that practice in there. Inhale and exhale, and then go for the full hinge position so you get that nice stretch over that front leg. You probably still feel that stretch down the back leg too. This is where I don't want your stance to be so wide that you cannot feel the wonderfulness of this stretch, and you're only coming down as much as feels good. Maybe coming all the way down like I'm showing you doesn't feel good, and you want to stay up. Then you're going to lift. So after you feel good with your stretch, you're going to come up a little bit. This is where you use the support. I'm using blocks to help. I'm not putting all my weight there, but it's just so I can get that left leg forward. I can get that right leg back a little bit. I am bending that right knee, or that left knee. I'm keeping both kneecaps pulled up, keeping the awareness in that lower trunk, the back pockets. I always can do a back pocket check and a front pocket check for that squareness. And then come into your crescent lunge. Remember, your legs are in that neutral position. They are not externally or internally rotated. Use the balls. Hands to heart, and then let that left leg, that left arm sneak. So you're trying to rotate. The navel stays anchored as you rotate the heart, and then bring that right arm out. So you're into that oblique twist, breathing full and deep. And then bring yourself back. Here's where you're going to challenge yourself to come into your balance. Protect your knee. Do not hyperextend that knee. Do not grip with your toes. Your balls are doing the work. Put the weight in your trunk. It's like you could sit down. You're holding yourself in your trunk. You're challenging yourself. Kick it out if you'd like, and then bring it down. Stand, receive. Notice how you feel. Breathe full and deep. Navel, ribs, chest. Exhaling fully. Chest, ribs, navel. Try to find that engagement within. Come to your navel. Make that your home base. And you can, because you are both, right? The solid and the light, always. All right, coming down, we're going to get onto our back. It's relaxation time. We have pretty much done, we haven't run the gamut of all the yoga poses. We've done quite a bit. We're going to come down. I love to come down through a downward dog and marinate in a dog. I love to marinate in a downward dog for like 3 breaths, 4 breaths, 5 breaths, whatever feels good to you. And then rest back in your child. I love to take these reset postures. I don't like to blow through a class with no reset postures. I am a fan of the reset posture and the transition and noticing the difference. That child position or that kneeling position or whatever position you're in, you're going to bring yourself onto your back. Take your time. Find that comfortable position for your pelvis. Let yourself move however feels good. We practice that external rotation of that leg. We're going to do that same thing, bringing yourself back into that bridge position, lifting that right leg, externally rotating it, bringing that ankle down, pressing that right knee away, pressing that right glute away, then lifting that left foot if it feels good to you. Because you don't have to, you can leave it down. Only reach through that opening if it feels good. Try not to clasp too harshly. If you do lift up, keep that neck long and let yourself breathe full and deep. You can also have that left foot on a block. You can keep that left foot on the floor and just gently press that right leg gently away. Inhale and exhale. I love to do where I press both legs away and then try to stretch my trunk, the back of the top of my head, the crown of my head towards the wall behind me. And I'm pulling my pelvis into place. I get this wonderful stretch on my back. It just feels amazing. All right, after a few breaths, you're going to come down, letting yourself reset, drop those knees side to side, whatever feels good, and then same thing, other side. Let those legs be in bridge, and then lift that left leg, externally rotate out to the left, bring that left heel to that right knee, press that whole left leg away. It's not just the knee, it's starting at the hip. Everything's happening from the trunk. You're gently pressing that leg away. You're only coming into the pigeon, the reclining pigeon position that feels good to you, and it might not look the same on the other side, and you are honoring that, and you are being kind and gentle and compassionate with yourself. And then letting yourself reset, rock, circle. If you want to lead your knees one direction, your shoulders connected on the other side, looking in the direction of your knees or not, and then same thing other side. So this is heart anchored to the sky, blades engaged, drop those knees, and then let the navel gently wind away, and then back through center. And then you can come into Shavasana and rest here for 5, 8, 10 minutes if you've got it. If you would rather sit in meditation for 5 to 10 minutes, do that. This is when you take that rest, because the work and the rest are just as important. So I really hope you take the time to do that. So rest, relax, let yourself completely marinate, and then you are ready to go conquer the world and do your awesome stuff. Namaste to you all. Thank you so much for joining me. See you next time. Bye.